Inspiration comes from many places, but I think when it comes to historical and vintage sewing, one of the most potent sources of inspiration is primary sources, something from the time that forms the connection between past and present, between us and something gone. When someone holds inspiration in their hands, they get this most wonderful, awestruck feeling, but most importantly, one gets the urge to do it justice, to make it alive again. Though skill level and time constraints may cause hesitation, the feeling never goes away, even if time and other less ambitious projects elapse. Today, I'll be showing you guys a fashion catalog from 1941, as well as making a pair of late 1940s shorts. I'm also going to pretend that putting these two topics together in one video under the cinematic theme of inspiration was definitely purposeful and not because both of their videos were too short. I hope that didn't detract from the mood I set with the intro and whatever, but anyway. You were just watching me assemble the PDF download of the shorts pattern. Overall, the download was really great, and I'll link the pattern in the description in case you guys want to check it out. And this is a 1941 Berth Robert catalog. As you can see, it's intended for back-to-school fall fashions. Ironic, because the school year IRL is over. The cover does have some bits of damage, 3 holes, some thinning of the paper, and a suspicious blob of paint. I hope that was an accident and that this catalog wasn't used as a painting mat 80 years ago. Anyway, besides that, it's in pretty good condition. Most of the pages are sturdy and not too yellowed. From the literal 30 seconds of research I've done on Berth Robert, they don't exist anymore, and most of the images of their catalogs I've seen online look like they're from the 1930s, which lines up pretty well with our 1941 catalog. Though it's pretty obvious, this one seems to be directed towards teens and young people. And the company seems to have a bit of a gimmick to it. Essentially, you buy the clothing with it only partially made, and you assemble the pieces yourself at a reduced price. Quote, "With the arrival of the new fall season, you are sure to wish to add to your wardrobe, and no better way is offered than the Berth Robert semi-made plan. Our semi-made fashions are styled by the same designers that style for the finest specialty shops in the country. Our usual moderate prices for semi-made are at times less than 1/2 of what the similar finished garment would sell for. Each and every semi-made is cut to your figure requirements from the measurements you sent us. The fabrics are the finest. Our skilled craftsmen then do all the difficult sewing for you. Tucking, pleating, embroidery, things that might be difficult for you are done before the dress is shipped to you. A few moments pleasant sewing and you could finish any of our semi-made dresses or suits at tremendous savings." That's honestly a great idea, though I don't think enough people will know how to sew nowadays for that to be successful. In terms of the garments for sale on this page, the one on the top left looks very youthful, almost reminiscent of the late 50s into the 1960s. There are 2 suits on this page, both with large pockets. I'd love to make one of them. A coat, which again I would love to have, and the girl in the black dress seems to be holding that record quite strangely. I mean, like, maybe if she didn't hold records like Frisbee's, there'd be more vinyl from the 40s around today. The next page of the catalog has the order form, as well as 2 beautiful evening gowns. I don't know a ton about evening wear, but they look to have some 1930s influence to me. This was a couple months before the US entered World War II, so that explains why they were able to use so much fabric on these skirts. This dress has some beautiful pin tucks and pleats. I love pin tucks. The only thing I don't like about them is the amount of ironing you have to do to maintain them. This is one of my favorite pages just because of this dress. I absolutely love the detailing on it, and again, the pleated skirt. The dress right next to it has some godets inserted into the skirt, which I absolutely love. Other than that, it seems to be a pretty basic 1940s dress. The suit next to that has a very interestingly shaped peplum. And the dress in the top left corner definitely shows some 1930s influence. The order form inside the catalog explains how to order, as well as prompting you to send the catalog to your friends as well, though I doubt any of my friends would be interested in it. Every successful project, and even some unsuccessful ones, start with a mock-up, except maybe mass-manufacture catalog garments. I started by pinning my pattern pieces to some scrap muslin following the pattern's cutting layouts. I'll be skipping over much of the mock-up's construction because it's literally the same as the final piece except a lot less pretty. You'll be seeing this mock-up again though because I'll be using it as a lining. This is the fabric I'll be using for the outside of the shorts. It's an off-white quilting cotton, though if I made these again, I'd choose a slightly thicker fabric. I've been putting in a lot more time lately into learning about fabric, because these shorts and also the blouse I made really made me realize the importance of getting fabric that fits the project. And here you can see me cutting pieces from my too thin quilting cotton. I cut the notches indicated on the pattern. I may just be completely incompetent, but whenever I sew anything, the notches never line up, some by a decent amount, and I just ignore it because it usually ends relatively well. I just assume that the notches got terribly lost in translation between, sometimes, the original pattern to my tissue tracing to the multiple layers of fabric. I should really research or come up with a more efficient and accurate way of doing all of these tracings. Then, using some tailor's chalk, I marked fold lines for the cuffs, which, unironically, did not line up as well. Looking back on it, I wish the cuffs were a bit larger because I'm not crazy about how they look and they easily unroll when I'm wearing the shorts. On the mock-up, I had a lot of trouble discerning the front of the shorts from the backs because they're very similar, so I wrote the letters assigned to each pattern piece on the fabric. Here's a very youthful outfit, with embroidery along the square neckline of the peasant top and at the hem of the skirt. It's strange how things come around again, because in the current year 2021, peasant tops are pretty popular. I also want to point out these beautiful wool skirts, which I'll definitely be making one of, and this cute pinafore, which I hope to make sometime in the future. Also, this plaid dress is pretty nice, with the strong 1940s shoulder and the puffed late 30s sleeve. Here's the page dedicated to smart suits and coats. Seems like plaid was all the rage in the early 40s, at least from what I've seen. That's great for me because I like plaid, especially this waistcoat and the skirt in the middle of the page. It's really interesting how the skirt was cut on the bias, with the plaids lining up at the center seam. For the literal 3 people watching this, yes, I know these videos perform terribly, but I will keep making them. The next project that's coming out has some bias cut gingham wizardry, and I am very excited for that, though sadly it is not a 1940s suit. And the other page has some coats on it. While my shorts don't have too many tucks, pleats, godets, and other such things like the clothing in this catalog, they do have darts at the waist, which were indicated on the pattern and thus transferred onto my fabric with tailor's chalk. And those were sewed quickly by machine. I also sewed the 2 front pieces together and then the 2 back pieces and seamed it all together at the side seams. Believe it or not, one of the most challenging parts of this project was the gloriously large pocket. Don't get me wrong, it's a true thing of beauty, 11 inches long, 7 wide, but it also doubled as some sort of strange closure, which was the difficult part. After sewing the pocket together part of the way, I sewed seam binding to one of the open edges. The other side will be stitched into the shorts, however this side is left open and bound so that the shorts open enough for you to be able to put them on. And when stitching in the other side, I made sure to catch the lining layer to secure that as well. Then I stitched on the waistband, first sewing it with the wrong side of the shorts facing the right side of the waistband, then turning it over and top stitching, creating a clean join. Lastly, I worked a machine buttonhole, which is my new favorite thing, into the end of the waistband for the closure. I marked a spot to sew on one of my cheap wooden buttons, which are also one of my favorite things. Then I turned under the cuffs to be tacked in place at the sides, and the shorts were finished. Before I show you the final product, let's just finish flipping through the catalog. The next page has a nice assortment of many types of garments, including dresses, a pinafore, a waistcoat, and 2-piece dresses, which are essentially the same thing as suits. The dress in the bottom right corner definitely seems to have a 1930s influence, with the gathering at the shoulder and the V-shaped neckline. On the next page is the envelope that you would send your order form in with, which is currently sealed shut with 80-year-old glue. I doubt anything's in there, so I won't open it. Anyway, here we have some 40s sweaters, which I absolutely love. At the time of writing this script, I'm currently crocheting a sweater from a 1938 pattern. For those of you who don't know anything about vintage and historical crochet, most of the time things were made with crochet thread instead of a thicker yarn that we use nowadays, so my sweater's probably going to take a full eternity to make. You can actually still find yarns from as early as the 40s from brands that the old patterns recommend you use, unused and in their packaging, on Etsy and eBay. Of course, I just went to my local craft store and got some 100% polyester stuff. But yeah, if you guys want to learn more, there's a ton of free patterns and resources on the internet. Anyway, they've also got some pretty standard blouses, skirts, and dresses. And on the back, we've got too many pleats. I feel bad for whoever had to make and iron those dresses. So yeah, there you have it. A pretty short catalog, but still a great resource for studying early 40s fashion. This video was filmed nearly 3 months ago, so since then I bought a giant Montgomery Ward's catalog from 1947, which obviously is better for studying fashion and daily life from the late 40s. It's nice to have a variety of time periods to look at. So here's the finished shorts. I think they ended up coming out pretty nice, though they look a little different from the picture in the pattern promised. Other than that, they fit pretty well and are comfortable to wear. If I ever made another pair of shorts in the future, I'd choose a heavier weight fabric and alter the style a little. After filming this segment, I washed the shorts, and the lining layer shrunk because I didn't pre-wash it, and it was just my mock-up fabric, which was kind of a mistake because it shrunk a lot. I ended up having to cut out a section of it to get the shorts to lay flat, so I guess the moral of the story is just choose a heavier fabric. I hope you guys like this style of video and you found the catalog interesting because I really like looking through them. Feel free to subscribe for more fuzzy sock plushies, crochet, sewing, and whatever else I feel like doing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time!